There comes a moment when the invisible begins to move, when the tides shift and the unseen starts to take form. You may not see it yet, but everything around you is aligning. The shift has already begun. You've prayed, you've believed, you've sown your intentions, and now the soil of your spirit has turned fertile. Things are rearranging behind the scenes, not by accident, but by divine precision. You are entering a new rhythm where every event, every delay, every seeming setback is secretly a step forward. This is not the season to doubt. This is the season to stay ready. Because the moment you decide that things are working in your favor, they begin to. Life is not reacting to your struggle, it's responding to your assumption. What you believe in silence echoes into your circumstances. You are not waiting for the universe to shift, the universe is waiting for you to align. The instant you embody your desired state, reality must comply. It cannot do otherwise. The outer world is clay, molded by the inner conviction of the one who dares to believe. So stay ready, not with anxiety, but with assurance. Stay ready by living as if the promise is fulfilled. When you wake, walk as if your breakthrough is here. When you speak, let your words match your vision. When you feel, let your heart overflow with gratitude for what's already yours in the unseen. Every no was redirection. Every loss was a setup. Every delay was divine timing, orchestrating the perfect arrival. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. The shift has begun. And now everything, yes, everything is working in your favor. Doors are opening, paths are clearing, hearts are softening, and unseen hands are arranging your blessing. But you must answer to no one. But you must answer. Stay ready, because when the visible catches up to the invisible, it will happen all at once, and you'll realize it was always working for you. The shift is here. It's not coming. It has begun. Change is not something you wait for. It's something that has already begun, quietly, invisibly, powerfully. The shift has already started, not out there in the world, but within you. Long before the evidence shows up, something in the unseen realm begins to stir. It is subtle at first, almost imperceptible, like the faint rustle of wind before the storm of blessing arrives. You may still be standing in the same circumstances, facing the same problems, but deep within, something has changed. The energy has turned. The spiritual current has shifted in your favor. Every transformation begins in the invisible. What you see with your physical eyes is only the last stage of manifestation. Just as a seed must first crack beneath the soil before the sprout appears, your breakthrough must first unfold in the unseen before it becomes visible. That moment when you finally believe, when you stop doubting and start knowing, that is when the invisible shift begins. You might not feel any immediate change in your outer world, but make no mistake, the moment your inner state aligns with your desire, reality starts to rearrange itself to mirror that inner conviction. You don't need proof to believe. Your belief is the proof. Everything in creation responds to faith. The universe is not random. It is responsive. The moment you change your assumption, life begins to move in ways that confirm it. The opportunities, the people, the timing, the coincidences, they all start aligning perfectly. because your inner vibration has become a magnet for that which you've claimed as true. Most people miss this stage because they are looking outward, searching for evidence before they allow themselves to believe. But faith does not wait for proof, it creates it. The invisible shift is that sacred space where the old reality starts to dissolve and the new one begins to form. It may feel like nothing is happening, but in truth, everything is. When things seem silent, that's when the universe is working the hardest on your behalf. Understand this. The invisible realm is more real than the visible one. The visible is temporary. It shifts and changes with every new thought you entertain, every new feeling you allow yourself to sustain. When you persist in your inner vision, when you continue to dwell in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, the outer world cannot resist the change. It must catch up. So if you've been sensing something lately, an intuition, a quiet knowing that your life is about to turn, trust that feeling. The shift has already started. You might not yet see the signs, but the current has already turned in your favor. Life is rearranging itself for your highest good. And what once seemed far away is now being magnetized toward you. Do not be deceived by appearances. The unseen is moving, the tide is rising, and the path is being cleared. Stand firm in faith, for the invisible shift is the prelude to visible manifestation. What you have prayed for, believed for, and prepared for, it's already on its way. The shift has begun. The world around you is not happening to you, it is responding to you. Everything you experience on the outside is a reflection of what you are holding on the inside. Your inner state, your thoughts, emotions, and assumptions are like a vibration that sends out a signal, and life answers that signal perfectly. The outer world is simply a mirror of your inner world. If you want to change what you see, you must first change what you believe. The truth is, nothing outside of you has independent power. Circumstances, people, opportunities, all of them are shaped by the energy you carry within. The moment you shift your inner state, everything external begins to rearrange itself in harmony with that new vibration. When you live in doubt, fear, and limitation, the world reflects more of the same. But when you align yourself with peace, faith, and confidence, you start to attract experiences that echo those inner qualities. Your inner state is like a frequency on a radio. Whatever channel you tune to determines what you hear. In the same way, the emotional and mental frequency you hold determines what life broadcasts back to you. You cannot receive a signal of abundance while tuned into the frequency of lack. You cannot attract love while broadcasting fear or unworthiness. The world is not cruel, it is consistent. It can only mirror the vibration you project. This is why inner work is the most powerful form of creation. Instead of trying to manipulate outer conditions, focus on mastering your inner state. The moment you choose to feel whole, loved, and blessed, before the evidence appears, life begins to shift in miraculous ways. People show up differently, doors open, opportunities flow. What once felt blocked suddenly moves with ease, because your new awareness has rearranged the field of possibilities around you. When you decide to live from a state of gratitude, the world gives you more reasons to be grateful. When you live from joy, life sends you joyful encounters. When you live from faith, situations unfold in ways that confirm your belief. The outer world always bends to the one who knows that the source of power lies within. But this alignment cannot be forced. It must be felt. It's not about pretending to be positive. It's about embodying the truth that what you desire is already within your reach. You don't wait for things to change before you feel good. You feel good and watch things change. That's how creation truly works. So if life seems still or resistant, do not fight the outer world, realign the inner one. Shift from worry to peace, from doubt to trust, from fear to love. The moment you make that inner shift, reality must respond. The energy of your belief is the blueprint for everything you experience. When you align within, you give life a new pattern to reflect. Everything begins to move, flow, and open in your favor, not because the world has changed, but because you have. The outer movement is simply the echo of your inner transformation. Faith is not passive waiting, it is active readiness. True faith does not sit in uncertainty, hoping that something might happen. It moves in quiet confidence, knowing that what is desired is already accomplished in the unseen. Faith is not a feeling of wishing, it is a state of knowing. When you truly believe that something belongs to you, your entire being begins to prepare for it, naturally and effortlessly. You make room for it in your thoughts, your emotions, your environment, and your actions. That is what faith looks like. It prepares. When you know a guest is coming to your home, you prepare the space. You don't question whether they will arrive. You set the table, tidy the room, and anticipate their presence. The same principle applies to spiritual creation. You don't prepare for a blessing out of uncertainty. You prepare because you know it's already on its way. Faith lives from the end, not toward it. It moves as if the promise is already fulfilled, and that confident movement opens the way for the unseen to become seen. This is the difference between hoping and believing. Hope waits for signs before it acts. Faith acts before the signs appear. Hope says, I wish it could happen. Faith says it already has. And life responds to that certainty. The universe rearranges itself around conviction, not hesitation. When you move as though what you desire is already yours, you align yourself with the vibration of completion, and the finished work begins to manifest through the path of least resistance. Faith doesn't ask when or how. It rests in assurance. It knows that what has been claimed in the spirit must appear in the physical at the appointed time. It does not panic during delays or crumble under silence because it understands that unseen forces are already working. Faith's confidence is quiet but unshakable. It doesn't need evidence to believe. It believes and therefore creates evidence. Readiness is the natural language of faith. It is how you tell the universe, I'm available for what's mine. When you act in faith, you prepare space for what's coming. You clear the clutter, shift your mindset, and walk like someone who already possesses the promise. You speak with gratitude, you make plans as if it's done, and you live in the energy of fulfillment. That readiness invites manifestation. Faith is not just belief, it's embodiment. It is living from the vibration of already having received. The more you prepare in faith, the more you affirm that the unseen is real. And in time, that unseen reality must materialize, because the universe mirrors the certainty of your inner knowing. So don't wait for confirmation. Prepare as though your breakthrough has already arrived. Faith is not waiting at the door, wondering if opportunity will knock. Faith opens a door, sets the table, and says, I've been expecting you. That is the essence of readiness. Not waiting for what might come, but living in the assurance of what already is. Nothing is against you, though it may appear at times that life is resisting you, that circumstances are closing in, that opportunities have slipped away. Beneath the surface, everything is still working for your good. Every delay, every disappointment, every closed door is not a punishment, but a redirection. Life is never against you. It is always guiding you toward alignment with what truly belongs to you. The universe operates with perfect intelligence. What feels like rejection is often protection. What seems like loss is preparation for something greater. There are seasons when doors close suddenly, when plans collapse without explanation, and we are left questioning our worth or direction. Yet, in hindsight, we often realize that those very moments were blessings in disguise. The job that didn't work out, the relationship that ended, the opportunity that passed you by, they all served a higher purpose. They shaped your strength, refined your focus, and positioned you for something far more aligned with your true path. The universe will not let you settle for less than your potential, and sometimes that means removing what you thought you needed. When you trust that nothing is against you, peace becomes your foundation. You no longer waste energy resisting what is happening. Instead, you begin to flow with life, understanding that every experience, pleasant or painful, is a step in divine order. The delays that frustrate you are often the pauses that break your heart, are often the detours that save your destiny. The disappointments that break your heart are often the detours that save your life. Is not random, it is intentional. Everything works for a that realization frees you from bitterness and blame. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And begin asking, what is this teaching me? Every situation becomes a teacher, every obstacle a hidden blessing. Even in your lowest moments, there is a quiet orchestration taking place, forces aligning, timing perfecting, and unseen doors preparing to open. The universe knows exactly when and how to deliver what is meant for you. When you align your mind with this truth, you stop fearing loss. You understand that nothing real can ever be taken from you, and nothing meant for you can ever miss you. Even when life seems uncertain, faith reminds you that every closed door has a key attached somewhere else. What looks like the end is often the beginning of something miraculous. So the next time you face a delay, take a breath and trust the unseen. The universe is not working against you, it's working with you, through you, and for you. Every challenge is reshaping you for expansion. Every redirection is positioning you closer to your destiny. You are never being denied, only being aligned. Trust that everything unfolds exactly as it should. When you hold that belief deeply, peace takes the place of worry, gratitude replaces frustration, and clarity follows confusion. Life has always been on your side. Even when you didn't see it, it was leading you home to alignment, fulfillment, and divine timing. Nothing, not one thing, has ever been against you. To live from the end is to occupy the reality of your fulfilled desire before it becomes visible. It is to step into the consciousness of completion, to think, feel, speak, and act as though what you long for has already come to pass. This is not about pretending or daydreaming. It is about entering a state of knowing so strong that it reshapes your entire vibration. When you live from the end, you no longer chase the manifestation, you embody it. And reality bends to reflect your conviction. Most people live from the middle. They see their desire as something distant, something they must struggle toward. They pray for change while remaining emotionally tied to the lack of it. But creation doesn't respond to words alone. It responds to state. Whatever you feel to be true, you project into the field of life, and that vibration calls forth matching experiences. When you persist in the feeling of already having received, you tune into the frequency of fulfillment. The universe then organizes every circumstance to mirror that inner completion. Living from the end means making peace with the unseen. You stop checking for signs, stop wondering when it will happen, and rest in the assurance that it already has. You allow yourself to feel the gratitude, relief, and joy that come with fulfillment now. You walk, talk, and think from that finished state. When challenges arise, you respond as the version of yourself who already possesses the blessing would respond. This alignment makes your faith unshakable, because your identity is no longer that of someone waiting, but of someone who has. The key is emotional consistency. You cannot live from the end while dwelling in doubt. Every time you imagine your desire as distant, you affirm its absence. But when you consistently dwell in the feeling of completion, reality has no choice but to catch up. It is like tuning an instrument. The moment your inner vibration matches the frequency of the fulfilled state, manifestation must occur. The outer world is only an echo of your inner conviction. This principle works in all areas of life. If you desire love, feel love now. Speak as someone cherished. Treat yourself as someone already in a harmonious relationship. If you desire abundance, embody prosperity in your thoughts and actions. Be generous, confident, and grateful for the wealth you already possess, even if it's not yet visible. When you live as though it's done, the universe rearranges itself to make it so. Living from the end is ultimate trust. It means releasing the need to control the how and when. You surrender timing and method, but you never surrender belief. You hold the vision steadily until what was once invisible becomes inevitable. Reality always obeys the one who refuses to acknowledge lack. The person who knows they already have cannot be denied. When you live from the end, you step out of waiting and into becoming. And from that moment forward, the universe mirrors your certainty. Stay ready for the unfolding. The shift that is taking place in your life is not random, not chaotic, not uncertain. It is divine order revealing itself in perfect timing. What is meant for you is not lost, it is aligning. Every unseen force, every divine detail is moving with precision toward the fulfillment of your desire. The universe does not make mistakes. When you live with this understanding, readiness becomes your natural state, not a posture of anxiety, but one of quiet expectancy. Staying ready does not mean constantly looking over your shoulder for signs or evidence. It means maintaining faith even in silence. It is keeping your inner vision alive when nothing external seems to confirm it. Readiness is an inward knowing that the seed has been planted and must, by the law of life, bring forth fruit in its season. Just as a farmer does not dig up the seed every day to check its progress, You must trust that your manifestation is growing beneath the surface. Your only task is to stay alive, to keep your faith steady, and to walk in calm confidence. The unfolding is not something you must force. Divine timing cannot be rushed, but it can be met with readiness. You prepare your heart, your mind, and your spirit to receive what you've already claimed. You create space for it, mentally, emotionally, even physically. You remove doubt, fear, and impatience and replace them with trust, gratitude, and expectation. In that state, you become magnetic to everything that belongs to you. Sometimes, just before the manifestation arrives, things may appear to fall apart. Don't be deceived. That is not chaos, it is reordering. The old must shift to make way for the new. When doors close, when certain paths seem to end, it is because they are no longer aligned with where you are being guided. The divine plan is never random. It is rearranging everything necessary for your good. Stay ready, because what looks like detour is often delivery. Faith is tested most in the waiting. But waiting is not wasted when it is filled with readiness. Readiness keeps your spirit alert and your perspective pure. It is the bridge between belief and manifestation. When you live in readiness, you stop asking if it will happen and begin to prepare as though it already has. That subtle shift in attitude moves mountains. What is yours cannot miss you. Divine alignment ensures that every blessing, every opportunity, every right connection finds its way to you at the perfect moment. Your readiness makes you a match for it. Life doesn't deliver based on need, it delivers based on readiness. So keep your faith steady, your vision clear, and your heart open. Everything you've prayed for is on its way. The timing is divine, the unfolding is precise, and your readiness is the signal that you are prepared to receive. Stay ready, not because you are waiting in fear, but because you know it's coming. The shift is already in motion, and soon what was unseen will stand right before you. The shift has already begun. What once felt uncertain is now unfolding with divine precision. Every unseen movement, every silent turn, every moment of waiting has been guiding you toward this season of favor. The invisible has taken form, and life is rearranging itself in your favor. You no longer have to strive or struggle. Your only task now is to stay ready, to live from the end, and to trust that everything meant for you is finding its way effortlessly. Remember, nothing is against you. Every challenge was a setup for alignment. Your faith is the key, your readiness is the signal, and your inner conviction is the power that moves mountains. The world is not responding to your wishes, it's responding to your belief. So, believe boldly, act confidently, and walk in peace, knowing that what's yours cannot miss you. The shift isn't coming, it's here. Stay ready, because divine order is unfolding perfectly in your favor. Thank you for listening, and remember, the universe is already working for you. Stay in faith, stay ready, and watch everything align beautifully in its time. Beloved friends, the very effort to acquire is the confession that you are without. When you strive, you declare to life, I do not yet possess. But what you do not realize is that creation is already finished. All that you desire exists now, waiting not to be achieved, but to be accepted. Trying, reaching, struggling, these belong to the realm of lack. The man who constantly seeks money is affirming poverty. The woman who chases love is affirming loneliness. The seeker who endlessly prays for healing is affirming sickness. Yet the moment one dares to rest in the assumption of already having, the world bends to mirror that truth. Stop trying to get. Instead, imagine yourself already in possession of your desire. Feel it real. Rest in the state of accomplishment. See yourself as you wish to be, and persist in that unseen reality until it hardens into fact. You will discover that your desire is not something far off in the distance. It is not waiting for tomorrow, nor locked in the future. It is here, now, in the invisible realm of imagination, awaiting only your acceptance. When you cease trying, when you give up the desperate pursuit, you will find that what you sought so earnestly is suddenly yours, not by struggle, but by surrender. On Suranarai, Ira Unhei, Unia Street, Devote, Konohim. So tonight, stop striving, stop chasing, enter into the feeling of the wish fulfilled, live as though it is already yours. For the moment you stop trying to get it, you will discover you already have it. Desire is never something that lies outside of you, waiting to be captured by struggle or earned by endless pursuit. What you call a dream, a goal, or a longing does not begin in the world of facts. It begins in the invisible world of imagination. Everything you now touch, see, or call reality was once nothing more than an unseen image in the mind of someone who dared to accept it as true before it appeared. The house you live in, the clothes you wear, the technology you hold in your hands, all of it was once an idea that existed only in the imagination. And so it is with every desire that stirs within you. It is not pointing you towards something absent. It is revealing what already exists, waiting for your recognition. The great mistake most people make is to chase their desires outwardly. They believe that through effort, competition, or endless striving, they will eventually obtain what they seek. Yet pursuit is a confession. It declares to the world, I do not yet have. The longer you chase, the more firmly you cement the belief that your desire is distant, and as long as it feels distant, it cannot come near. What you run after always runs ahead of you. The more you reach, the further it slips away. But when you turn inward, when you dare to assume that the thing you want is already yours, something remarkable happens. Imagination reshapes your inner world, and the outer world rearranges itself to match that assumption. To imagine the desire fulfilled is to plant the seed of its expression. You may not see its form immediately, but just as the seed buried in the soil contains the promise of the tree, so does your assumption contain the certainty of its manifestation. So it tells us when we have the system to stand on. This is why imagination is not mere daydreaming, it is the creative act. To envision yourself already successful, already loved, already healed, is to step into the reality that is waiting to express itself. Life is compelled to mirror the state you occupy. If you live in the state of lack, circumstances will affirm lack. If you live in the state of fulfillment, it cannot be otherwise, for the outer is but a reflection of the inner. The key then is not to ask how your desire will come, nor to struggle endlessly in pursuit of it. The key is to accept it now in imagination, to dwell in the feeling that it is already so. This acceptance is not passivity. It is creative rest. It is the quiet knowing that what you have assumed must, by the law of consciousness, become your reality. From that inner rest, inspired action flows naturally, without effort, without strain, as though the world itself conspires to deliver what you already possess within. So the next time you feel the stirring of desire, do not rush outward in search of it. Close your eyes. Enter into the scene that would be true if it were already fulfilled. Feel its reality. Rest there. And as you persist, you will come to see that the desire was never something you had to chase. It was always yours, waiting only to be claimed. In imagination first, before it could appear in the world of facts. Chasing after something you desire may feel natural, but it secretly reinforces the very state you are trying to escape. The act of running toward a goal is a subtle declaration that you are without it. When you chase money, you are admitting to yourself that poverty is your present reality. When you chase love, you are affirming loneliness. When you chase recognition, you are silently confessing that you feel invisible. Every effort to grasp something out there keeps alive the assumption that it is not yet yours, and life faithfully mirrors that inner confession. Those awful truths need standing up. The more intensely you chase, the stronger the sense of lack becomes. It is like running after your own shadow. You can never catch it, because the very act of pursuit keeps it just beyond your reach. Desire, when approached as something separate from you, becomes an endless race. You may achieve moments of temporary satisfaction, but soon another chase begins, and the cycle of lack continues. The outer world cannot give you what you do not first claim inwardly. If you do not feel rich within, money will slip through your fingers. If you do not feel loved within, relationships will leave you empty. This is why chasing is not the path to fulfillment. Chasing belongs to the realm of effort, of striving, of constantly reaching for what is absent. But true manifestation is born not from pursuit, but from possession. Possession begins in imagination, in the silent acceptance that what you desire is already yours. The one who lives in the assumption of wealth does not chase money. Opportunities naturally gravitate toward them. The one who assumes they are loved does not chase affection. They radiate such fullness that love flows effortlessly into their life. The outer is always compelled to match the inner state. When you chase, you are unknowingly clinging to the thought, I don't have. That thought becomes a seed, and from it grows the fruit of continued absence. But when you stop chasing and begin to dwell in the feeling of already having, you break the cycle. Instead of lack, you affirm abundance. Instead of loneliness, you affirm companionship. Instead of invisibility, you affirm recognition. The shift may be silent and invisible at first, but it is powerful, for the inner state is the root of every outer change. Think of a magnet. It does not run after the iron, it draws it effortlessly by being what it is. In the same way, when you embody the state of fulfillment, what belongs to that state comes to you without strain. There is no chasing, no desperate pursuit, only natural attraction. Life responds not to your struggle, but to your state of being. So release the chase. Cease from effort. Instead of reaching outward, turn inward and claim the reality of your desire. Feel it as present, live as though it is already yours, and let the world reflect that truth back to you. Chasing strengthens lack, but assuming fulfillment ends the race and brings what you desire into your experience with ease. Resting in the feeling of already being or having is the secret that ends struggle. Most people live their lives striving, pushing, and forcing, believing that effort alone can bring them closer to their desires. Yet striving is born out of the belief that something is missing, that fulfillment lies somewhere far ahead. The truth is, the very state of striving confirms that you are not there yet. Rest, however, places you in the reality of already having, and it is this rest that transforms the invisible into the visible. When you rest in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you enter the state of possession before the evidence appears. You are no longer fighting against the current of life, no longer exhausting yourself in constant effort. You are seated in the awareness that what you desire is already yours, and this awareness has creative power. It is not passivity, but the highest form of action, in inner alignment with the reality you long for. Striving keeps you on the outside, but rest brings you to the inside, and life must conform to the inner state you occupy. Consider the way a seed grows into a tree. The seed does not strive, worry, or force its growth. It simply rests in the soil, in the quiet knowing of what it is. Hidden beneath the surface, it expands silently, until one day it breaks through into visible expression. So it is with you. When you plant yourself in the feeling of already having what you desire, even if no evidence appears at first, the unseen process is already at work. The outer world will rearrange itself to reveal what you have accepted inwardly. Resting in fulfillment requires trust. It requires letting go of timelines, letting go of the urge to control every detail, and surrendering the need to see immediate results. Striving belongs to impatience, but rest belongs to faith. To rest is to say within yourself, "It is already done. I have received it." From that position of inner completion, your actions become natural extensions of the state you live in, not desperate attempts to achieve it. You no longer chase opportunities. Opportunities flow to you. You no longer beg for recognition. Recognition comes uninvited. You no longer fight for love. Love surrounds you because you are resting in it. The feeling of already being or having is the only true cause of manifestation. If you wish for abundance, rest in the feeling of wealth. If you wish for love, rest in the feeling of being cherished. If you wish for success, rest in the feeling of accomplishment. The more deeply you relax into this state, the more effortlessly life reflects it back to you. So stop striving, stop running, close your eyes, and breathe in the reality of your fulfilled desire. Rest there, linger there, return to it again and again until it feels natural. In that rest, you will discover the miracle. What you once chased tirelessly will appear in your life without struggle, for it was always waiting in the state of being you dared to occupy. Imagination is not idle play, nor is it a meaningless escape from reality. It is the very womb of creation, the source from which all things emerge. Before any invention, discovery, or achievement existed in the outer world, it lived first in the imagination of someone who dared to see beyond the evidence of their senses. The chair you sit on, the building you enter, the music you hear, all were once invisible images in the unseen realm of thought. Imagination is the creative act, and the world you experience is nothing more than its reflection. Most people believe the outer world is the cause and imagination is the effect, but the reverse is true. What you entertain within your mind shapes the circumstances of your life. Your outer world is a mirror, faithfully reflecting the inner pictures you hold and the states you dwell in. If you imagine lack, life will present lack. If you imagine abundance, life will reflect abundance. Nothing appears on the screen of your world that did not first exist in the theater of your imagination. To imagine is to choose the seed you plant in the soil of consciousness. Whatever seed you accept and nurture within will in time break forth into expression. You may not see it sprouting immediately, just as a farmer does not see a seed turn into fruit overnight. Yet, the creative act has already been performed the moment you imagined and accepted it as true. From then on, the outer world is compelled to organize itself to match that inner reality. This is why imagination is not to be dismissed as fantasy. Fantasy is idle because it is fleeting and weakly entertained. True imagination is deliberate, vivid, and sustained. When you imagine with feeling, when you step into the scene of your desire and live in it as though it were already fact, you ignite the power that shapes destiny. You shift your state of being, and life must reflect that state back to you, for the outer has no choice but to mirror the inner. Think of a mirror. It does not decide what to reflect. It simply shows what stands before it. The outer world works the same way. It reflects your inner assumptions, beliefs, and imaginings without question. If you dislike the reflection, the solution is not to fight the mirror, but to change the image you project. Change your inner conversation, alter your inner picture, and the mirror of life will display something new. So if you seek transformation, do not labor to rearrange the outer world. That is only shadows and reflections. Go to the root, the imagination. Dare to see yourself as already possessing what you desire. Dare to imagine boldly and persistently. Live inwardly in the reality you long for, and let the outer world rise to meet it. For imagination is the true creative act, and everything you call real is only its reflection. Letting go of effort is not weakness, nor is it passivity. It is the recognition that struggle itself keeps you bound to the very condition you wish to escape. When you are always striving, pushing, and forcing, you are confessing silently that you are not yet what you desire to be. The harder you try, the more you reinforce the gap between yourself and your wish. But the moment you release effort and accept your desired state as your present reality, you step into the power that actually creates change. Effort belongs to doubt. It springs from the hidden belief that what you long for is far away, difficult to obtain, or dependent upon circumstances outside of your control. Acceptance, on the other hand, belongs to faith. It is the quiet confidence that what you have assumed is already true and that the world will inevitably align to reflect it. When you accept your state, you no longer chase it, you embody it. And embodiment is the key to manifestation. Consider the actor who plays a role. He does not struggle to become his character, he accepts it fully. He wears its thoughts, its feelings, its mannerisms as if they were his own. For the time he remains in that state, the audience sees only the character, not the man behind it. In the same way, when you accept your chosen state, when you live in the assumption of already being or having, the world sees that state in you and responds accordingly. You no longer have to force events. You are the role, and life becomes the stage that matches your performance. Effort implies resistance. It is like swimming upstream, exhausting yourself against the current of life. Acceptance is like floating, carried effortlessly by the river in the direction of your desire. The moment you let go of effort, you discover that circumstances begin to arrange themselves without strain. The phone call comes, the opportunity opens, the door you thought was closed suddenly swings wide. These things happen not because you fought for them, but because you accepted them as already true within yourself. Acceptance requires imagination and persistence, not struggle. To accept is to feel that your desire is here now, not tomorrow, not in some distant future. It is to breathe it in as real, to walk as though it were already fact, to speak from it, and to rest in it with ease. When doubt arises, you do not fight it with effort, you simply return to your state and affirm silently, "It is done." The world cannot resist such quiet certainty. So let go of effort. Release the tension, the striving, the endless trying. Close your eyes and step into the state you long for as though it were already yours. Accept it, live in it, persist in it. The moment you claim it inwardly as your present reality, life itself bends to reflect it outwardly. What you thought could only be won through struggle reveals itself as already here, awaiting only your acceptance. Reaching is the silent admission that what you seek lies beyond your grasp. It keeps you suspended in a state of longing, always stretching forward but never arriving. The moment you stop reaching, however, a shift takes place. You realize that what you desire is not separate from you. You are not required to chase it down, to beg for it, or to prove yourself worthy of it. You are it. You are already the state you long for. And when you rest in that truth, receiving becomes effortless. Life responds to being, not to yearning. As long as you are yearning, you vibrate with incompletion. You send out the message, "I am not yet." And the outer world simply reflects that message back to you with situations and circumstances that affirm your incompleteness. But when you stop reaching, when you cease stretching toward the future and instead inhabit the state of already being, you align with the truth of your desire. In that alignment, the world mirrors your wholeness, not your lack. Think of the child who plays make-believe. She does not reach for the role she imagines, she steps into it. If she declares herself a queen, she carries herself as a queen. She does not wait for a crown to be placed on her head to feel royal. In her being, she already is, and her play transforms the moment. The same principle applies to you. When you embody the feeling of already being the person you wish to become, the world bows to that assumption and brings evidence of it into your experience. Reaching is tension, it is effort, it is rooted in the false belief that fulfillment lies outside of yourself. But receiving is relaxation. It is openness. It is rooted in the recognition that what you are inwardly being must, by law, appear outwardly. You receive not by stretching out your hands towards something distant, but by opening your heart to what you already are. Receiving is not passive. It is powerful, for it rests in certainty, not in struggle. The truth is, you are never incomplete. Every desire that rises within you points to a reality that is already yours in the unseen. You long for love because you are already love. You long for abundance because you are already abundance. You long for freedom because you are already free. The desire is not a signal of absence, it is a reminder of presence. By reaching, you push it away. By stopping, you allow it to surface. So stop reaching. Stop looking ahead for some distant moment when everything will finally be as you want it. Rest instead in the awareness that you already are. Let the feeling of completion, of fulfillment, of wholeness settle upon you now. As you dwell in that state, life itself will rise to meet you. The things you once stretched toward will flow into your experience with ease, for they were never outside of you. They were always within, waiting for you to stop reaching and to finally receive. The truth is simple. What you seek is already yours. Stop striving, stop chasing, stop reaching outward. Rest in the inner knowing that imagination is the creative act and that every desire fulfilled exists in you now. The world is only a mirror, faithfully reflecting the state you occupy. When you let go of effort and accept your wish as present reality, life has no choice but to reveal it. So live from the end. Walk as though it is already done. Rest in the feeling of completion, and you will see how effortlessly life bends to your assumption. The moment you stop trying to get it, you will find you already have it. Thank you, my friends, for opening your hearts and minds tonight. May you leave here no longer seekers, but possessors, living boldly in the certainty of already being all that you desire to be. There comes a moment in every journey when the unseen becomes louder than the seen, when the whisper within you carries more authority than the world around you. And that moment is now. What you have been asking for, longing for, praying for, it is not something you are going to manifest, it is something that is already done. Creation was finished the moment the desire was born in you. The desire was not a request, it was a revelation of what is already yours in the invisible. Every shift in your life begins with a shift in your inner self. Before anything changes out there, it must first change in here. You are not waiting for the world to move. The world is waiting for you to accept that the change has already taken place. Close your eyes for a moment and step into the version of yourself who has already crossed the bridge, who has already received the blessing, who already lives the reality you once feared might never come. Feel that version. Embody that version. Become that version. Because the instant you do, life has no choice but to rearrange itself around you. The evidence around you right now may not reflect it yet, but never let the shadow of the old convince you that the new has not arrived. What you see in the physical world is simply the afterglow of former thinking. It is outdated, delayed, expired. Your new reality is not built by what you see. It is built by what you accept as true within you. And if you dare to hold the feeling of the end, even when nothing seems to be changing, the unseen will begin to move with a force you cannot comprehend. Doors will open. People will shift. Circumstances will bend in ways that defy logic. Because the moment you choose the state of the wish fulfilled, your reality must obey. It must conform. It must transform. So hear this clearly. You are not hoping for a miracle. You are aligning with one already completed. You are not waiting for your breakthrough. You are stepping into a breakthrough that has been waiting for you. Your new reality is not coming, it is revealing itself. Stand firm in the knowing, hold the inner vision, live from the end, and watch as everything around you changes effortlessly. Your reality is about to shift, not because you forced it, but because you finally remembered the truth. It's already done. Creation is finished. This simple truth carries a depth that can transform the way you see yourself, your desires, and the life unfolding around you. When a desire arises within you, it is not the beginning of creation. It is the moment you become aware of something that is already complete in the unseen. The desire itself is evidence that the reality you seek exists right now in a dimension beyond physical sight. You are not trying to build your dream from scratch. You are aligning yourself with a version of reality that is already established. Everything you want, every dream, every breakthrough, every answered prayer exists as a finished state. Your role is not to struggle, force, or chase. Your role is to recognize, accept, and embody the version of yourself who already possesses what you desire. You don't create outcomes by effort, you create them by identity. The moment you feel the desire, you are shown a glimpse of a reality that is yours. It is like a whisper from your higher self saying, "Here it is. It's done. Now become the one who receives it." Alignment is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. And alignment begins internally. You shift your focus from "how will this happen" to "it is already mine." Instead of thinking in terms of time, you begin thinking in terms of states. You enter the state of the wish fulfilled, feeling, imagining, and accepting the outcome as your present truth. When this inner shift occurs, the world outside must eventually conform. Because the physical world is nothing more than a mirror, reflecting your dominant inner assumptions. Reality does not create your state creates your reality. If you continue to feel lacking, waiting, or hoping, you remain aligned with a version of reality where the desire is distant. But if you step into the feeling of having already received, you tune yourself to the frequency of the fulfilled desire, and just as a radio cannot pick up a station it is not tuned to, you cannot receive what you have not yet aligned with. Creation being finished means there is no need to worry about the how. The how is not your job. The path is not your responsibility. Your only responsibility is the acceptance of the end. Everything that needs to unfold will do so in perfect order without strain or struggle. Life will orchestrate the details, move the pieces, and rearrange circumstances to match your internal decision. What feels like coincidence is alignment. What feels like luck is resonance. What feels like a miracle is simply a reality you finally matched. When you stop trying to create and start aligning with what already exists, peace replaces pressure, certainty replaces doubt, confidence replaces fear. You no longer chase outcomes. You attract them naturally because you become the version of yourself who lives in that reality. Creation is finished means you are never waiting for your manifestation. You are only waiting for your self-concept to catch up with the truth. The moment you accept that what you desire is already complete, your inner world shifts and your outer world follows. This is the essence of effortless manifestation, not forcing reality, but remembering that it is already done. Imagination is not a fantasy, a daydream, or an escape from reality. It is the true architect of reality itself. Everything that exists in your life began as an inner picture, long before it took form in the physical world. The thoughts you allow, the emotions you nurture, and the scenes you entertain in the quiet of your mind are the seeds from which your experiences grow. The world you walk through today is nothing more than a reflection of what you have imagined, consciously or unconsciously. Imagination precedes reality because the inner image is the cause and the outer world is simply its unfolding effect. When you imagine, you are not pretending, you are selecting a state. You are choosing the version of yourself you wish to embody and the reality you wish to live. The mind does not differentiate between what is real and what is vividly imagined. It responds to the feeling of the image, and because your inner state is the blueprint, your outer world must eventually mirror it. Reality is not created from action first. It is created from assumption, feeling, and belief. Your imagination is the workshop where your future is shaped. Most people live reactively, giving their imagination to fear, doubt, and limitation. They replay old scenes, relive old failures, and unknowingly project those same patterns into the future. The world then reflects these inner images back to them, and they assume reality is happening to them, but reality is only echoing what they have been imagining all along. When you change your inner image, you change the script of your life. The shift begins invisibly, quietly, internally, and then in time, the outer world rearranges to match it. To use imagination consciously is to claim your power. It means you no longer let the visible world dictate your beliefs. Instead, you allow your chosen inner vision to dictate your future. You go inward first, planting the exact seed you desire to see grow. You imagine the scene that implies the fulfillment of your wish, feeling it real, accepting it as done, and returning to it with persistence. When the inner image becomes natural to you, the outer world must reflect it. This is not magic, it is law. The outer world is always delayed, it is slow. It reflects past thoughts, past assumptions, past feelings. This is why the present moment doesn't always show the result of your new inner work. But if you persist, if you remain loyal to the inner picture, the physical world has no choice but to conform. The unseen always becomes the seen. The invisible always becomes the visible. What you imagine with feeling becomes your lived experience. Imagination precedes reality because imagination is creation. The world you see with your physical eyes is the after effect, the echo, the shadow of the world you first saw within. When you grasp this truth, you stop reacting and start creating. You stop fearing circumstances and start shaping them. You begin to live intentionally, deliberately, powerfully. Your imagination is your greatest tool, your inner sanctuary, and your direct connection to everything you desire. When you choose your inner image deliberately, your reality cannot resist. It must unfold in perfect alignment with the vision you hold within. To assume the end is to step into the identity of the version of yourself who already has what you desire. It is not wishful thinking, not hope, not waiting. It is the deliberate choice to accept the outcome as present, real, and already yours in consciousness. When you assume the end, you shift from longing to living, from wanting to being, from imagining to embodying. You no longer look at your desire as something distant. You see it as something fulfilled within you. This inner acceptance becomes the cause, and the outer world becomes the reflection. Assuming the end means living inwardly as if nothing is missing. The wish is not something you hope arrives. It is something you inhabit. You breathe from it, think from it, act from it, and feel from it. You become the person who has already crossed the finish line, and from that state you allow life to catch up. The outer world is always delayed, but it must eventually show what you consistently hold true within. The mistake many people make is approaching manifestation as a future event, something that will happen if they try hard enough, wait long enough, or stay positive enough. But assuming the end is not about looking forward, it is about looking inward. It is not about forcing reality to change. It is about accepting that the change has already happened spiritually. Once the inner shift occurs, the outer shift becomes inevitable. When you assume the end, you release the energy of desperation. You let go of questions like, when will it happen, or how will it come? Those questions belong to the version of you who does not yet believe. The version of you who already has the desire has no need for them. That version knows. That version rests. That version moves through life with a quiet confidence because the result is already secured. This does not mean you pretend. It means you embody. Pretending feels false. Embodiment feels natural. Pretending tries to convince the world. Embodiment knows the world will follow. You begin by choosing the feeling that matches the fulfilled desire. If your desire is love, you assume the end by feeling cherished and chosen now. Your emotional state becomes the evidence long before the physical world catches up. Assuming the end also means refusing to be swayed by temporary appearances. The outer world may not show the result immediately, but that does not mean the assumption is untrue. It means the old state is still dissolving. Just as a shadow lingers even after the object moves, your old circumstances may echo for a while, but your inner identity has already shifted, and reality must eventually align with the new state. When you live from the end, you align yourself with the frequency of fulfillment. You carry the posture, the expectation, the feeling of the person who already has what they desire. And because life mirrors who you are, not what you want, you allow the world to mold itself around your assumption. Persisting in the state of the wish fulfilled is the most vital part of manifestation. It is the bridge between the unseen and the seen, the invisible desire and its physical expression. Anyone can imagine the end for a moment, but only the ones who remain consistent in that inner state, despite appearances, experience rapid transformation. Persistence is not force, it is loyalty. It is the unwavering commitment to the inner reality you have chosen, even when the outer world has not yet aligned with it. When you persist in the state, you consciously return again and again to the inner feeling of it is done. You refuse to be defined by circumstances. You refuse to let delays discourage you. You refuse to let old patterns pull you back into doubt. The state of the wish fulfilled becomes your home, your inner residence, your dominant vibration. And because the outer world is always responding to your dominant state, consistency becomes the key to speed. Most people imagine the end once, feel good for a moment, and then fall back into fear, impatience, or worry when reality doesn't change immediately. That fluctuation slows the process because it keeps shifting the internal signal. It's like tuning a radio station and changing the frequency every few seconds. You will never hear the song clearly until you stay on the right station long enough for it to play out. Persistence stabilizes the signal. It aligns you with the version of reality that contains your desire. Persisting in the state does not mean forcing a constant high vibration or pretending to be happy every second. It means returning to the feeling of the wish fulfilled whenever you notice you've drifted away. It means choosing the inner truth over outer appearances. It means reminding yourself that the desire is already complete and you are simply allowing the physical world to catch up, even if doubts arise, and they will. You don't stay in them. You gently shift back into the state of fulfillment. The outer world often moves slowly because it is reflecting your past assumptions, not your current ones. If you remain persistent, the old reflections fade and the new reality emerges. This is where most people give up. They assume nothing is happening because they cannot yet see the change. But persistence is the act of holding the inner state long enough for the outer to mirror it. It is the process of overriding old patterns and installing new ones. To persist is to trust the unseen more than the seen. It is to prioritize the inner image over the external evidence. It is to claim your desire as your present identity, not your future hope. You are not waiting for proof. You are becoming the proof. And once the inner state becomes natural, once it becomes your emotional default, the physical manifestation must appear. It is law. The speed of your manifestation is directly tied to your commitment to the state. The more loyal you are to the inner feeling of fulfillment, the faster the world organizes itself around your assumption. Persistence collapses time. It pulls the unseen into the seen. It transforms desire into reality. The physical world you see around you, your circumstances, your challenges, your limitations, is not a reflection of your current power, but of your past assumptions. It is a delayed projection, a shadow of former beliefs, old emotional patterns, and previous states of consciousness. Because of this delay, the outer world often appears out of sync with your inner work. And if you don't understand this, the 3D world can easily intimidate you, distract you, or convince you that nothing is changing. But the truth is simple. The outer world has no authority over what is already done within you. It cannot stop a manifestation that has already been accepted in consciousness. Ignoring the evidence does not mean denying reality or pretending your circumstances don't exist. It means you refuse to let the outdated 3D world dictate what you believe. You stop giving it power. You stop interpreting temporary appearances as permanent truth. You recognize that everything in the physical realm is simply an echo, a reflection of the state you once occupied. By the time you see something in 3D, it is already old news. It is already past. It is the residue of your past self. When you understand this, you begin to hold your inner vision with greater confidence. You no longer panic when things seem unchanged. You no longer doubt yourself when delays appear. Instead, you look at the 3D world with neutrality, knowing it is slow, mechanical, and always steps behind the reality you have created within. Your imagination is the true cause. The 3D world is only the effect, and effects cannot overpower their cause. Ignoring the evidence is one of the most powerful disciplines in manifestation because it shifts your focus from reaction to creation. Most people live reactively, allowing circumstances to shape their thoughts and emotions. But true manifestation requires the reverse. Your inner state must shape the circumstances. To achieve this, you must learn to prioritize the unseen over the seen. You must trust the inner knowing more than the outer noise. The old reality may continue to echo for a while, just like a bell continues to ring even after it has been struck. But if you persist in your new assumption, the echo eventually fades. The new reality must take its place because consciousness always wins. What is done within cannot remain unseen without. Ignoring the evidence also strengthens your self-concept. It teaches you to stand firm in your own inner authority. You become unshakable, unmoved, untouchable by appearances. You no longer chase results or beg circumstances to change. Instead, you hold the state of your fulfilled desire with calm certainty, knowing the world will adjust itself accordingly. Every great shift in life requires the courage to believe in what you cannot yet see. The moment you choose the inner reality over the outer appearance, you reclaim your power. You stop being a victim of circumstances and become the creator of them. And when you hold the inner truth long enough, the 3D world must yield. A true shift begins long before anything in the physical world moves. It begins quietly, subtly, powerfully within you. The moment you change your inner assumption, the moment you adopt a new identity, the moment you accept the fulfillment of your desire in consciousness, a chain reaction is set in motion. This inner shift is not symbolic, it is literal. It is the true moment of creation. And once this inner transformation occurs, the outer world must rearrange itself to match it. The shift becomes inevitable, not by force, but by natural law. Your inner state is the blueprint of your life. It is the vibrational pattern, the psychological atmosphere, the energetic signature that determines what you attract and what you experience. When you shift this state, when you move from lack to fulfillment, from fear to confidence, from desire to realization, you alter the core pattern that your reality is built upon. The external world cannot continue reflecting the old version of you once the inner architecture has changed. It must update itself to match your new identity. This process may feel invisible at first, because the physical world is slow, it is dense, delayed, and reflective. But the moment the inner shift occurs, the old outer reality begins to dissolve. Situations change, people shift, opportunities emerge, obstacles fade. Sometimes subtly, sometimes dramatically, but always inevitably. The outer world cannot resist the internal command. The key is understanding that the inner shift is the real manifestation. The external manifestation is simply the physical expression of what has already unfolded inside you. You do not need to push, chase, or force changes in the 3D world. You only need to maintain loyalty to your new inner state. When your inner weather changes, your outer climate must follow. Think of the old reality as momentum, an echo, a reflection of who you used to be. Even after the inner change, the echo may linger for a while. This is the period where many people doubt themselves. They assume nothing has changed because their senses have not yet caught up, but the shift is already in motion. The moment you refuse to return to the old state, the old reality begins to lose its power. It begins to fade, weaken, unravel. The new assumption grows stronger with every moment you inhabit it. Your only real task is to remain stable in the new state, to stop revisiting old doubts, to stop checking the 3D world for proof, to stop dipping back into previous versions of yourself. Every time you return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you reinforce the inner shift. You strengthen the new identity. You deepen your alignment with the future that already belongs to you. Once the inner shift is complete, the manifestation becomes inevitable because reality cannot contradict consciousness. It cannot produce experiences that do not align with your dominant inner truth. It must conform to the state you consistently occupy. This is the natural law of creation. So trust the inner transformation. Trust the subtle changes you feel. Trust the new identity you are stepping into. The moment you shift within, your world begins to move around you. Sometimes quietly, sometimes quickly, sometimes unexpectedly, but always deliberately, always precisely, always in perfect harmony with your new inner reality. In the end, everything you seek is already within you, waiting for your recognition. The moment you choose the inner state of fulfillment, your world begins to move in ways you cannot yet see. Your imagination shapes your path, your assumptions carve your destiny, and your persistence seals the outcome. You are not hoping for change, you are becoming the change. Trust the unseen, honor the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and stand firm in the truth that your reality is already shifting in your favor. What is yours is not approaching, it is unfolding. Thank you for listening, and thank you for allowing yourself to remember the power that has always been yours.